All right, let's get to it. Chris,
All right.
good to see you.
Nick. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's been a long time since we first met, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, college at Rockhurst, in Kansas City.
I was trying to think maybe about whose class we might have met in. I'm thinking it's probably AC Lampy.
It probably was. Yeah.
But it was cool to join Bangert and to hear that we were already working with you guys and that you were moving to Intact. And so one of the first people I knew in this industry in St. Louis.
Yeah. I know when I saw you made the switch on LinkedIn, I think I immediately messaged you, and we were kind of right in the middle of implementing or beginning stages, but it was evident with everyone that we were working with at that time. I think I messaged you right away and said, I know you're in good hands, that you're with a good company, and I know you were just starting out, but I felt very strongly about that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, so for other St. Louis natives, Cosney Wagner has touched this city in all kinds of different ways. What are some of the projects that you guys have done that people would know?
Yeah, so 60 years we've been around, and very grateful for the work that my grandfather put forth and all the others before me. So really, we're a civil and commercial contractor. So really some of the beginning projects that we worked on were kind of the arch grounds originally. That was right around the time where where Cosney Wagner was founded. And so we worked on the arch grounds, and then even some of the last updates to the arch, we've been involved. So a lot of government type work too. So MoDOT is a big client. So you'll see our trailers all around town and all that. So yeah, and then countless commercial projects and all around town.
Yeah, that Highway 64 expansion, you guys had a lot of work there, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
I remember growing up and that being a huge project for this city, and it contributed a lot, I think. So we got the same degree, I think.
Yeah.
Right? But now you're a CFO.
Yeah. So I am not a CPA. So I'm a guy who grew up in the construction industry, who understands construction, who learned the accounting world really through my mentors here, through our old CFOs, and kind of worked my way to this position.
What would you say you learned? I mean, you started sweeping up the shop, right, when you were a kid, but then in pre-construction and then as a controller. So what are some skills that you picked up that, to be quite honest, somebody who's just coming out of accounting school or someone with an accounting degree versus now you're a CFO. So what are the skills that you built in that meantime there? Yeah,
so I think like first is just like the baseline is understanding the business, what we do. So I've held multiple positions to understand what exactly is going on in the field, what everybody's doing here. So having that ability, just being strictly, into the numbers is great, but if you don't understand what you're doing, what the business is here for, the communication is a huge thing. So if you can't communicate to the guys out in the field and everybody else in the office, there's probably going to be some disconnects. So communication is a huge part. Like I said, some of my old mentors here, old CFOs that I learned from, it was, some of it's paralysis by analysis, but just like taking every single situation, running it through your head, running it through your models, and making sure it's the right decision for the company, and just following the book. It can be tough at times to sit down and rifle through and make sure you're following all the rules that you have, but they're there for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. If you had to pinpoint one piece of your experience that you think has been most helpful, so in learning the industry, what would you say that is?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's one experience, but the culmination of so many. I think it's really talking to the guys out in the field. I mean, I know it seems elementary, but just talking to the guys out in the field, seeing, understanding what they go through. And, I think that's a huge part of being able to communicate in this position.
I was blown away when I joined the construction industry at how much opportunity there is here.
Yeah, sure.
Right? There's a lot of retirement going on. I mean, you have experienced that here in Cosney Wagner, opened up a spot for you to move up. What would you advise, right? Someone just coming out of college who might want to get into the industry and they don't necessarily see themselves in the trades, but they want to be involved. What would you suggest they do?
The construction industry is a super tight industry. You just take St. Louis, for example, and everybody knows each other. And you've probably learned that. It was probably pretty overwhelming at first for you, right? Because it's like, okay, everybody knows each other but me, right? But then you're indoctrined now and going to the industry events, you probably know 75% of the people in the industry because it is such a small, tight-knit community. But what was the question?
Yeah, the question is someone coming out of college who wants to get involved, but they might not see themselves in the trades.
Right. So it is such a tight-knit industry, and there is so much opportunity. You've got, just here alone, we've got so many tenured employees that are going to retire. We had our general superintendent retire after, I think it was 35 years. Which is just incredible, and we've got a few more guys just like that. So there's tons of opportunity. This is an industry that is historically slow to adapt to technology, and there's tons of opportunity there, right? I mean, we had our 30-year Sage 300 system, which was great, but we moved to Sage Intacct, and I really think it's going to be a game changer for us moving forward. And I think, you look at some of the other things just outside of accounting. We've got our project management software that we use, and it's really changing the way we do business and streamlining so much. And I think the ability to adapt to these technologies is going to give us the ability to, grow in the future.
Speaking of Intacct and speaking of hiring and long-term viability of employees, do you think, and this is a leading question, 100% a leading question, but do you think it's going to be easier to fill spots in your accounting team because you have a modern software?
Oh, absolutely. I talked with Reed with this before, but the knowledge that you have of a legacy system coming in on the back end like I did, I could do my work. I was doing a good job, right? But I only understand this much. When you build a system from the ground up, like we did with Sage Intacct with you guys, that goes from here to here. And just having that knowledge, that expertise, that you're able to, write your internal controls and procedures and take the workflows that may have taken days or just administratively were a pain. You take those workflows and they are half the time that they used to be. So absolutely, I think having the new system would absolutely help.
So with our deployment process, obviously you can put people through it, as many people as you want, and you can put people through it as many years into the future as you want. Right. So has that been an advantage for your team to where everybody can get up to snuff together? And how do you see that as protecting your business moving forward?
Yeah. I mean, it is absolutely huge. And I've said this time and time again with you guys, with Reed just most recently, but it's obvious that you guys have spent tons of money, resources into your programs, and they make sense, right? Yeah. So what's the newest program?
Ask Richard.
Ask Richard. Ask Richard. I mean, that came out right when we were onboarding, and I can't tell, it's such a valuable tool. It's like, hey, just let's load it into here and see it's saved us so much time, right? The ability to, view the YouTube videos that you guys have readily available, it's huge.
Have you found anything that you've learned through our deployment process that has given you a new skill as a CFO or as an accountant that you were surprised to find or learn?
Probably the problem solving. The people that we've worked with at Banger who have helped us through, some of the troubleshooting here or there that's going to happen regardless, right? When you're implementing your new system, you got to figure out, hey, why isn't this connecting to this? And, the troubleshooting, you work with these guys and gals at Banger, and you're like, okay, this is how they're thinking through it. These guys are just experts, right? They are fantastic to work with. And when you see them work, you're like, then, someone else comes to me and they're talking to me, hey, how do we solve this problem? I'm like, okay, I think we know how to solve it. And then, if I don't, I come to you guys. But
right, kind of like what would Mike say, or what would Lisa say? How would they think through this problem?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's the problem solving part of it.
So because of deployment, do you feel like you can now solve more of your own problems without having to reach out to us?
Oh, 100%. It's nice knowing that, we have you guys as a background, right? But just having the tools, going through the deployment, understanding at the ground level how everything works is really like fundamental in understanding the whole ecosystem. And I think if anybody comes to me with an issue, or they're questioning something within the system, I think I can work my way through anything. Which in the old system 300, I'd be fumbling around for hours trying to find the answer. But in the new system, it's, you built it from scratch, basically, so it's, absolutely.
So if someone who's in deployment, let's say they're starting their journey right now, I'm thinking of a few customers here in St. Louis, even, who I'm going to probably send this to. They're starting their journey right now. When you ran into a problem, a snafu, common snafu, what was your process of getting an answer or figuring out a solution to that problem while you're going through deployment?
You're not going to run through many problems in the very beginning stages, because you're watching the videos, you're taking the courses, the classes, and you're having checkpoints, right? It's not until you're actually in the system building the payroll and the tools and all that.
Testing.
Yeah. I can't say any more good things about how the process worked. So we run into an issue, we don't know how to handle it, so maybe we create a ticket. Well, not long after that, we're already getting emails back, hey, want to hop on a call? And we're live right then and there. So it's not like it's hey, we've got this issue, we don't know how to fix it, we got to wait a couple weeks, or we got, it's like I don't know if they got it, I got to check back tomorrow, or it's Friday sometime next week. I feel like everybody at Banger is an extension of our staff, and we're able to send our issues there and get them resolved like right away.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you utilize the Q&As at all?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's so funny because there were so many times that, it's very predictable too, because most of the Q&As are at 1 p.m. And I can't tell you how many times it was like 12:55 and I'm like, I ran into an issue. I'm like, let's hop on a Q&A. I was like, let's get this solved right now. And it was actually kind of nice to hear, from afar, kind of what other people are going through too. It'd be like, okay, we're not alone,
Well, I don't know if that was part of the plan. I assume it was. The visionaries, right? At Banger, the Banger team probably thought through that, but it's amazing how much, it's like being in class, right? I was in education for a long time, and when Jimmy asks a question, Tommy had that same question, and they learned from each other, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you might be at different stages in your journey, but there's some people that are way ahead of you or way behind you, and you're thinking the same things.
All right, I got two more questions for you. So the first one is overall advice, Banger deployment, brand new customer, just starting. What's the advice you give them?
The advice is to make sure everybody on your team is on the same page at the same pace, right? Which at sometimes can be tough because, people are out or people have their own, issues or responsibilities at the company. But everybody's got to be on the same page and jump in, right? I don't think you want to spend a whole year working on the system. I think you set a timeline. You're going to bust the timeline. We did too. I think, talking to Reed at the beginning, they're like, yeah, some customers do it in 3 months. Some customers do it in 6 or 9. I think we were like, okay, we'll do it in 6. Well, it took a little longer. And that's fine. You want to be aggressive and you want to, there's times where it's going to be tough to compartmentalize and because at the same time, you got to do your regular work.
Right.
You can't leave that behind, right? You got to keep up. You're doing 2 jobs at one time at some point. And, I think if you can just, you need to focus and you need to be, very vigilant in getting it done.
Final question. So you went from pre-con to controller to CFO. If I'm a controller or even an entry-level accountant, and I want to build the skills that are going to position me to become the CFO of Cosney Wagner or a similar GC or sub, what would you say are the skills that I need to build?
Well, the big thing that I feel like a lot of just typically accountants miss is communication, right? Just like, you got to be able to understand what everybody's going through. Because it's very easy in accounting to just say, these are the rules, you got to comply. Be very like hard-nosed about it. But if you're like that, you're going to create a lot of enemies, and then it's not going to be worth it. You're not going to be able to go to them if you've got an issue that you need help with, right? So I think communication is the big part, and really it's being able to work in a team, right? Our team here is invaluable to me. And if I'm not able to work with my team, we're not going to be able to get anything done. So yeah, I would say the big thing is just communication between, everybody in the company that you work with, and then just being able to work in a team, right?
All right. So actually, final question. Yeah. It's time for the Net Promoter Score here. How likely are you to recommend Sage Intacct and Bangert Inc. to another contractor?
100%. I already have.
Okay.
I think it was like the week after we officially went live, and it was a lot of work to get to that point. Yeah, I posted on LinkedIn. I was like, absolutely, this was such a great experience. It was hard work, but it was worth it. We're going to be better for it. So absolutely, I would.
Excellent. Well, hey, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Nick.
I appreciate it.